Okay, tenant laws. They are landlord laws. They are changing all the time in the last couple of years. We're going to talk about the no grounds termination for tenants. That's come in with expert property manager Cleo Witt here. Stay tuned. Hello.
Hi.
You look like you're in your Tom Cruise Mission Impossible outfit for this topic today, Cleo.
I feel like I'm doing that sometimes at work. So I'm
Yeah,
dressed for
well,
the
like
occasion.
I had that comment this morning. Lisa was talking about how hard it is to get ready for the show on a Tuesday morning. She goes, how does Cleo do it? She's got the kids running around, is into some food, school, this, that. I'm like, I know. Well done to you.
I have this makeup gun. I just press the button and it just goes poof. And then I come down. Okay.
You'll have a Tesla robot to do your makeup for you one day.
Yeah. Needed. So needed.
Stay tuned. Stay
Interesting
tuned.
topic.
Yeah. So what's changed? I think the no grounds termination not available to landlords came out how long ago now?
It came out in May. So,
And what's the reality now?
well, the time frame is still the same. It's just worded different. In my opinion, the 90-day notice is still there. Landlords can serve a tenant 90 days to vacate on a periodic lease agreement. The difference is they have to give a reason for the notice and they have to have supporting evidence for that reason. Whereas in the past, you got 90 days, no reason, that was it. So tenants are still given the same amount of time to find somewhere else to live. It's still 90 days.
Yep.
Anytime within that 90-day period, they can vacate as soon as they find a rental property. But the owner has to supply a reason. Now, the way that I see these changes forming, that if the tenant doesn't want to move and they don't feel the reason is valid, then they can contest the notice, which leaves zero control without having to go to NCAT and doing all this preparation to have the tenant vacate. Now, I haven't experienced it yet. However, I am going to NCAT for a no reason. The tenant saying that they didn't know the reason, even though the owner told them the reason. It wasn't on the notice specifically. Now, the termination notices for those agents out there, the Office of Fair Trading website, the sample 90-day notice is what all agencies should have now in their software, and it provides you the reasons, one being properties on the market for sale, the other one's major renovations, the other one's family member moving in. Now you select a little tick box and that's classified the reason. And that's all you have to do with the termination notice is tick one of those boxes. If you're selling your property, you have to supply something like a contract of sale, something from your agent to accompany the notice. And then that is sufficient for a notice to vacate because the properties are going on the market. The funny one is I'm moving in. I've got a family member moving in. The supporting document is, if you want, you can supply a stat deck. So the owner just writes, I'm definitely moving in. I definitely have a family moving in. And you can supply that to the tenant as well. I don't know. These reasons, they seem quite hokey. It seems like such a waste of time. As a property manager, I feel most owners, if they're asking you to vacate, it's for a valid reason. And they should be allowed to just take their property back. It's very frustrating.
I think constitutionally, every time you introduce a law like this, I saw something from Kerry Packer, one of his greatest moments ever. It was in court. I think it was a Royal Commission on Tax, and he was talking about this. And you're taking, or every time you introduce a law like this, you're taking the rights away from someone. And all of the useless laws out there, he was saying, that are out there are just restricting people and restricting people and restricting people. And he was like, if you're going to do this, take away a stupid law that's not necessary, rather than keep shrouding people in compliance. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, that there's a law like this. And I think when you've gone to paid, worked hard, saved hard, financed, purchased, held an asset, to be told that you can't put the rent up, on the asset, within when you want, that you can't ask for offers over when you rent the asset out, that you have to have a reason to ask your tenant to move out of your asset. I think it's bloody pathetic. I think it's bloody pathetic.
It is. It is really harsh to say, but it's the reality, and it is true. You
Stupid.
save all your money to buy a property. You might want to move back in. Why should you be fighting to move back into your own property? I don't
Your
understand
own
this. Like
property.
your
Your
own
own
property.
property.
Maybe your parents left it to you. They saved all their lives. It's a family property. Whatever the reason you've
However
saved,
you got there, is you
however
there.
you got there, it's yours. And anyway, it'll be interesting to see with this NCAT, hearing that I have, because we believe the tenant, even though the tenant was served the notice 90 days, reason or no reason, they chose to vacate. So they gave their notice. So it's after the fact. So they're seeking compensation for moving costs. Even though they moved, they chose to move. They didn't
What's this?
contest
Oh,
the
this is a
notice.
case you've got going at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got, so um the reason is reality. There's an electricity bill in the owner's name. They've moved in, they've taken possession of the property. So that is the reason. And if you are a tenant and you feel like you haven't been given a just reason, your time to negotiate is while you're in the property, not vacating and then trying to fight it later.
Look, I still struggle with it. I still think,
Yeah.
what right does a tenant have to say, give me a reason for me to move out of your property? Like, I get extend the notice periods,
Yeah.
longer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I need more notice for you to remove me from your property. 6 months, 4 months, but to actually have to justify a reason as a landlord to your tenant, as to why you want your property back, your property. It's weird. Why? And look, the big thing out of today, if you've just tuned in, we're talking about no grounds. The landlord's rights restricted with no grounds. You can't have no grounds. You have to have a reason to remove a tenant, as from April. I love, talking about it now, because you've seen the dust settle.
Yeah.
Sort of 3 months, 6 months later, now you've seen that dust settle. Why was this brought in I understand it's to comfort tenants, that landlords aren't being retaliatory, maybe, or why was this brought in?
Well,
In your
I
opinion?
I think it was the government's way of trying to ease the shortage of rental properties, with tenants and owners just having tenants vacate so they can put the rent up, basically. Um, there was the last couple of years of time where owner could probably get $200-300 a week more by getting the tenant out and reletting it, just because the market adjusted so heavily. And so this was a way to stop owners from sending no reason, having the tenants vacate, and then putting the rent up. I think that was the main reason.
Maybe there was a
So
bit of an explosion of removing tenants out of properties, with the rental market going so high so fast.
yeah, and tenants then who were used to say paying 800 were forced out of the market and then back into a market where the rent's now 1200, 1300, and
Uh-huh.
they're trying to level that out by saying, okay, well, one increase per year, Mr. Owner, you can't get market rent. You're stuck with your tenant for however long, however long that we decide.
Yeah, but it's not public housing.
Exactly. It's not
you
public
know this
housing.
this is a landlord's property. It's a private person's property. You know what I mean? So I get if you want to impose those sort of laws over public housing, sure. But no, it's interesting to see how it's panned out. Would you say, as 3 to 6 months later, net same, or would you say it's been more restrictive for landlords? Where would you position it now from the reality of these
I
no
think
grounds?
it's I think it's same in that the owners that have asked tenants to vacate are for valid reasons. They're usually selling their property or they're moving back in. There's nothing untoward, nothing's changed. All that's changed for us is the paperwork side of it and making sure that
That's
everything's
interesting.
compliant. So um, in May when it rolled out, they hadn't even put the reasons on the website. They rolled out the laws and then they vaguely gave real estate agents, a guideline, a table, and this and that. But we all were sort of muddling our way through the legislation. What's going to be the reason? What do I have to? And we're still there. No one's actually tested what documentation is valid and what's not valid, and it's very vague. I called the Office of Fair Trading. I got 3 different responses. Do I need to provide a stat deck? Do I not? Oh, well, it's optional. It says optional on the website. Well, if it's optional, why is it needed? I don't understand. Anyway, we'll
There.
see.
Cleo, thank you so much for clearing that up today. And I think it is another reason why we need professional property managers to navigate these waters as a landlord. And it's great to see someone as experienced having a talk about it online, because it's pretty hard to find this information. So we hope this has helped landlords. We hope this has helped tenants out there. And thank you, Legend. Have a great day.
Thanks. See you guys. Bye. See you
See
next
ya.
week.
Bye bye. Bye bye.